Hey everybody, welcome to Joylee's tutorial on how to design your own text box in Flash. In this video, I'm going to show you guys three different types of text boxes you can make in your visual novel. A very plain basic shape, rectangle for your text box. The second one will be a text box you can design on your own, and the third text box will be something you can animate. So you can even have an animated text box in your visual novel. So let's get started. I'm going to create a new document. Let's click on Action Script 3. And alright, here's our workspace. Now before we begin, I'm just going to change the size to 750 width and 600. Just so we have enough room for our three text boxes. Alright, so for our first text box, I'm just going to go ahead and select the rectangle tool in your toolbar. And I'm going to choose a fill color. I'm going to choose pink. Let's bring this opacity up to 100. And I'm going to change the border to black. So you can see the properties panel change depending on what you selected. And I'm going to first make my rectangle right here. Just click and drag. Voila, here's your first rectangle. Now let's actually go to the properties tool. You can see now it has shape selected. I'm gonna change the stroke style to maybe 2.95. See, the border is a little thicker now. And before I do anything else, I'm just going to right click, convert to symbol, and turn this into a movie clip, just so it doesn't get messy. I'm going to go inside and let's add some text to it. What we're going to do is use the text tool. This will just be our dummy text. I'm going to lock this so I don't touch the text box. And I'm going to click and drag and make a text right here. I'm going to write Jane Doe. Pink. I should probably change the color. Black. This looks good. Put this down there. And for this, I'm going to write a sentence for my text box. The quick brown fox jumps over a lazy dog. That looks about right. So we have our first text box. See, it is very simple. Just go to the toolbox, use your rectangle tool, draw a rectangle, and there you have a text box. If you want something a little more cool, a little more something you can design on your own, we can also draw out our text box and make it really fancy looking. So let's go ahead and hide this. I'm going to change the layer name to Textbox 1. And I'm going to hide it. I'm going to make a new layer, And alright, let's select our rectangle tool again. I'm going to choose this color. And for my border color, I'm just going to choose that. Let's go ahead and drag our rectangle. Alright, it looks really pretty. Not really, it's just a plain rectangle. Actually, let's make it a little smaller. I'm going to select it. And I'm going to use the free transform tool. I'm going to click and drag, squeeze a little bit. Drag it over here. Alright, that looks about the right size. So what we'll do this time is, before we do anything else, let's convert it into a movie clip. Just select it all, right click, convert to symbol. I'm going to write text box 2 this time. And let's go inside. Now this time I'm going to do something a little more fancy with it. I'm going to change the fill color of the text box. I'm going to make it a gradient. Now how I can do that is very easy. But first of all, just select your fill color. Make sure you don't double click, just single click. And then we're going to go to our color palette tool here. It's just color. Click on it. And you can see this little thing pops up. It's similar to the swatches in a fill color. And it does the same job, but you can also, there's one extra thing here, and it is this little option, the color type option. I'm going to pull this down, and I'm going to select linear gradient. Whoa, look at that. It changed our fill color to a gradient color now. Not really, it's just black and white. But anyway, it's a black and white gradient right now. So to make it a little less boring, I'm going to change the color. For our black, I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to change to blue. That's right. And I'm going to keep this white. But instead of keeping it plain like that, I'm just going to lower the opacity to 0%. Ta-da! Now you don't see any difference now because our background is also white, but I'm going to show you the finished stuff, and it's going to look really cool. And before we do that, let's actually change our gradient shape. Now, how can we do that? How can we transform our gradient? Let's say I want to do it like, it looks all right going from blue to white, but if I want to go blue to white vertically, I could change it by going to the transform tool. Instead of selecting free transform, I'm going to hold it down, and this will pop up. The little square here tells us right now we have free transform tool selected. I'm going to select gradient transform tool now. And I'm going to select the little fill in the middle. And you can see this little thing pops up. This little circle here, you can move to rotate your gradient. And this thing you can stretch to make it smaller. Oops. You can stretch to squeeze it to make it thinner, or make it even wider, depending on what you want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze it down to the middle, and I'm going to rotate this so it's vertical. Squeeze it up. All right. So here is our vertical linear gradient. Now I'm going to do a little more fancy stuff with it. I'm going to add a few more colors. So I'm just going to drag this here. I'm going to make a new mark. And I'm going to make a lighter color right here. So it looks like it's kind of reflecting. I'm going to pull this up. Maybe too much. Too much. And I'm going to pull this over here. I'll make this change the color just a little bit. Oops, too much. This might actually be too late. And for this color here, I'm going to lower the opacity to maybe 75%. And this one, let's not do 100%. Let's do maybe 95%. That looks pretty good. All right, so here is our gradient color text box. I'm sure you're probably wondering, is there only a rectangle? Like, are you serious? Are we just gonna do a rectangle? No. We're going to use another shape actually. You can also transform your rectangle. So if you don't want your text box to be a rectangle per se, you can use your transform tool. And you can select free transform, select your entire text box, and see the little transform thingy pops up. And what I'm going to do is skew it. So just hold it down and pull it to the right. And see, we have this shape now. Now it looks pretty cool, right? Let's zoom in. So with our transform tool, you can do whatever you want with it. You can pull it down this way. You can make it bigger, smaller, and even more stuff with it. Let me just go back. All right. I'm going to go ahead and start drawing and actually designing our text box now. So I'm just going to go lock it. I'm going to make a new layer. And I think it'd be really nice to make it a sci-fi theme. So let me just add some more shapes to it. Let's go to our shape tool, hold it down. I'm going to select oval tool this time. And I'm going to click drag down, a little circle here. And I'm gonna go ahead and make another circle right here. All right, it looks really cool. It looks like a bubble, but I don't think that's what we want. Let's actually change the fill color. Actually, no, I'm gonna keep it like that. I'm gonna make another circle inside it. All right, let's make another one inside this one. I'm gonna make a little circle right here. All right. That looks pretty okay so far. I'm gonna use the line tool. I'm going to just draw some designs right here. Actually, I'm gonna make a new layer, just to keep myself more organized. And I'm gonna draw this line here. Draw another line. I'm gonna use erase. I'm gonna erase this part. All right, let's actually draw a few more lines. Ooh, okay. So we have our little design finished. Now I'm gonna add the final touches. I'm gonna add highlights to make it look shiny. So let's actually use our paintbrush tool this time. I'm going to use white for my fill color. And to have the shiny effect, just lower the opacity of your white to maybe 15, 16% actually. I'm just going to draw little shiny parts right here. It's not going to be clear now, but once we change the background, it'll look really cool. Okay. I'm going to do the same thing here too for my text box. Might come out a little messy, but that's fine. And let's change our stage background to see what it actually looks like. Just deselect here. I'm going to change the stage color to black. Ooh, looks pretty interesting. The gradient might be a little sharp. So what I'm going to do is actually change the gradient of my text box to 0. Oopsies. I'm going to go back to my circles. Oop, that's my lines. I'm going to go back to my circles. And actually, I think I'm going to change my gradient colors to maybe a lighter blue. I'm going to bring this down to maybe 11%. Oops, 11%. Actually, these were a little too light. I'm going to increase the opacity to maybe 25%. Oopsies. Deselect. That looks alright, doesn't it? But it feels too empty at the bottom. I'm going to change it just a little bit more. Oh boy. Pull this down. Will that do anything? Yes, I think so. The little top here doesn't look too good, so I'm just going to delete this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a drop shadow to this text box. So let me just go ahead. I'm going to actually select this layer, the text box. I'm going to duplicate it. So right click, let me show you, right click on it and duplicate layers. All right, you have a copy now. So what I'm going to do is lock the original one. I'm going to bring this copy below the first layer or original text box layer. I'm going to deselect. Actually, no, I should have just selected it. I'm just going to drag it down here. Ta-da! And now I'm going to select the border of my copy and delete. And for this, I'm just going to choose another color. Choose maybe this. And I'm going to bring the opacity up to maybe 23%. That looks pretty good. Maybe it's too much. All right, so here's our text box. Let's add some text to it. I'm gonna go back to the stage here. I'm gonna drag it in the middle. And I'm gonna actually create a folder this time. And instead of putting the text in the text box this time, since I might want to reuse this text box with different sentences and different scenes, I'm just going to create a new layer. Do text. This is just going to be our dummy text. I'm going to write, let's choose white for our color this time. Opacity 100%. And I'm going to write Jane Doe. Oh, not really a good font. But let's put this here for now. Jane Doe. I'm going to write for my text. The quick brown fox jumps over a lazy dog. All right. Now, I don't like to use Times New Roman for this, so I'm just going to go ahead and use Arial. I don't want to use bold. I'm just going to use regular Arial. Make it small. I'm going to do the same thing for Jane Doe. Let's choose Arial. I'm going to keep it bold. So here you go. Here's our second text box when we design ourselves. It looks pretty interesting. Let's compare it to the first one. Let's change our background to gray. All right, so here's our two different text boxes. The first one we did earlier is our very simple rectangle, and the second one, you can see it's a little different. It's a little more futuresque. And our third one is at last the animated text box. So we're going to combine both the first and the second one, and we're going to add a little animation to it. So let's go hide our two text boxes. Oh, let me just change the folder name to Textbox 2. I'm going to close it. I'm going to hide our text boxes this time, text box 1 and text box 2. And let's get started with our last and final text box. Create a new layer. All right. I'm going to zoom out. Oh, too much. And this time I'm going to choose, let's just do another rectangle again. I'm going to choose, I'm going to make a little earthy, Mother Nature style text box. Let's choose this color for a border. Click and drag, just a simple text box. All right. Again, before we do anything, let's convert this into a movie clip. Right click, convert to symbol, and let's call this Textbox 3. Press OK. Now let's go inside our text box, our little movie clip. All right, here's our very base we're going to start working on. Let's increase the border size. I'm going to increase it to maybe 8. I'm going to lock this. And let's add some pattern to it. I'm gonna make the brown fill like a tree bark. Just change this to marked. Oh, actually no, decoration. Choose a lighter color than the brown. I'm gonna go and select maybe this color. It's okay. And I'm gonna start drawing. I'm gonna choose this to make it. Use pressure to make it look like calligraphy strokes. So let's start. That looks a little weird. Okay, so I don't really like this color too much, so I'm just gonna go ahead and change it. Let me just select the marks. I'm gonna change the color. Actually, no, I'm just gonna lower the opacity since I'm too lazy to change the color. It's a little better. I'm actually gonna change the border color of my text box to maybe something less, something like this. Actually, no, that's too rough for me. I like this color. I'm gonna increase the border size to 16 or something. All right. And I'm gonna add a little more decoration this time. I'm gonna do some vines. Just some really quick strokes, really quick. I'm gonna increase the paintbrush size to this to make it easier for myself. Oh, oopsies. Should we choose that? So now I have the right color selected. I'm gonna draw some vines. Make this a little thick. Oopsies. Looks like Jack the Beanstalk, doesn't it? Let's draw this. Okay. All right, it looks pretty good. Now let's add some flowers. Just some really quick flowers. I'm just gonna choose blue because it's more of a neutral colors. Okay, let's add some, fill the petals in. Use paintbrush, gonna make the little dot. The flower is a little too big. I'm just gonna make it a little smaller with the transform tool. Drag it here. Okay. And let's copy it. So I'm gonna Ctrl C. I'm gonna paste it. Oop. I'm gonna drag it here. Make this a little smaller than make the clone a little smaller. And let's paste one again. And I'm gonna use the transform tool and twist it around. Yay! So cute. Okay, so we have our basic layout of our third text box finished. Now you're probably wondering, how can we animate this? Let's say I want to add butterflies. I want to add butterflies to this text box. And I want to make the butterflies animated too. Now how would I do that? Well, let's first start off by drawing our butterfly, shall we? So what I'm going to do is make a new layer. Let's call this butterfly, so we know where it is. I'm going to use the paintbrush tool. I'm going to start drawing the butterfly wings. So I'm going to choose black for my fill color. Let's zoom in here. And actually, let's not draw it on text box yet. I'm just going to draw it right here. I'm just going to draw my butterfly. Okay, there's our first wing. And let's draw our little bottom wing. Okay, that looks pretty good. Let's select this now and turn it into a movie clip. So what we're gonna do, just select it, right click on it, convert to symbol. I'm gonna call this symbol butterfly wing. And press OK. Okay, so now this is a movie clip. Let's go inside and start decorating it. I'm gonna go ahead and make a monarch butterfly wing pattern. So let me just, actually I will make a new layer. Let's make a new layer, lock the first one. This will be our wing base. And this is gonna be our pattern. So I'm just gonna go ahead and zoom in. I'm gonna choose paintbrush tool and I'm gonna choose a fill color of orange. Orange looks good. I'm gonna start drawing the little holes, the little orange holes of the monarch butterfly. Let's fill this in. Gonna add a little more here. This is just a big guess of what a monarch butterfly looks like. I honestly have no idea. I'm just guessing here. Okay, I'm gonna draw the bottom wing. Ta-da! Here's our monarch butterfly wing. It looks all right. Looks pretty good. And I'm gonna exit it, but go back to text box. And how are we gonna animate this? How are we gonna make this move? Well, what I'm gonna do is just to keep it neat, I'm gonna convert the butterfly wing movie clip into another movie clip. So right click on it. I'm gonna do convert to symbol. And I'm going to call this butterfly wing animated. And press OK. So let's go inside to see. So here is our butterfly wing animated movie clip. You see it's just one frame holding a movie clip. If we go inside this movie clip again, we're inside our butterfly wing clip and see we have our actual pattern right here. And we have our base. So let's go back to butterfly wing animated and start animating a butterfly wing. What I'm gonna do is make this movie clip longer. I'm just gonna make it 30 frames. So select the 30th frame. I'm gonna right click and do insert frame. I'm gonna animate this with a simple tween. So what we're gonna do is just select a frame on any frame here. I'm gonna right click. I'm going to select create motion tween. Ta-da! So what this blue thing does is now you can actually start animating your movie clip. I'm sure you guys know what a tween is. So let's go ahead and start animating it. I'm going to use the transform tool. And I'm going to first drag this here into the middle, to the side right here. And what I'm going to do is transform it. I'm going to squeeze the wing a little bit here. I'm going to drag it up to make it look like it's actually going up. And let's unselect it, go back here. And let's see what the animation looks like. All right, it looks like it's actually folding its wing in, doesn't it? Let's take a look at it again. All right, now that looks pretty good, but it looks doesn't look too real, doesn't it? I'm just gonna go ahead and tweak it just a little bit to make it look more realistic. Gonna right click, do insert frame, insert keyframe, all. I'm gonna make this little part go a little slower, so it looks like when it folds its wing in, it's gonna slow down. So what I'm gonna do is increase the frames here. So just select a couple of frames. I'm gonna do insert frame. All right. And again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do insert keyframe, all. I'm going to select it here, make this even slower than this part. Right click, insert frame. And I'm going to do it one last time. Same thing again. Insert keyframe, all. I'm going to select this part, insert frame. All right, let's actually see how it looks like. Okay, you can see it slows down just a little bit. Now, to make it seem a little more dynamic, to do the finishing touch actually, I'm just going to go ahead and make the beginning a little faster. So what I'm going to do is insert keyframe here. I'm going to select these frames, and instead of doing insert frame this time, I'm just going to remove frame. So let's play it and see how it looks. All right, looks really cool, like a real butterfly wing folding in, right? It's gonna look really awkward cutting off automatically. So what I'm gonna do is actually reverse it. So it folds up and folds down, folds up, folds down. You get the idea. So what I'm gonna do is select the entire frame here. I'm gonna right click. I'm gonna do copy frames. And right after here, the frame right after where it ends, I'm gonna right click and do paste frames. So you have a copy of the frame here, of the tween. And instead of it still looks like it's gonna be cut off here. So what I'm gonna do with the second frame, just select any frame of the second tween. I'm going to right click on it and I'm gonna do reverse keyframes. Ta-da! So the animation should be in reverse this time. So let's test it out. Let's go back to the beginning and press play. Woo! Look at that! It looks like it's folding its wing. It's folding its wing up and down, doesn't it? Let's actually go ahead and loop it. I'm gonna stretch the loop here and see what it looks like. Oopsies. And let's press play. Wow, look at that! It's like a real butterfly. Well, half a butterfly. But wow, doesn't that look cool? I'm gonna go ahead now. Oh, it's gonna finish. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and exit now. Since we have one butterfly wing animated, let's go ahead and make a copy, a clone of this butterfly wing. I'm gonna go ahead and press copy here, right click copy, and I'm going to paste it. All right, so let's actually twist it around. I'm gonna go ahead and reverse it. Ooh, that looks pretty good. I'm gonna put this right here. And what I'm gonna do this time is actually select both of these wings. I'm gonna convert this into one final movie clip. And I'm going to call it Butterfly. Press OK. All right. Just a little more decoration. I'm just gonna add a little body, a little head here and a little body right here in the middle. So I'm just gonna lock this layer. I'm just gonna call this wings. I'm gonna make a new layer. I'm gonna put this body. And let's draw our body. Use our brush tool. And I'm gonna choose a fill color to be black. And let's do a little body here, very thin. Doesn't need to be complicated. Most likely you're not going to see the body, so you can just draw it and fill in the empty spaces here. And at last I'm going to do a little antenna. And we are done with our butterfly. Let's go ahead and go back to our text box again. All right. What I'm going to do is drag my butterfly right here. She's a little big. Actually, you know what? I don't like the flowers. I'm just going to delete this layer entirely. And I'm going to put my butterfly as the main prima donna here. I'm going to add her to here, make her huge. And I'm going to rotate her like this. Actually, no, too much. Rotate her like that. And our text box should be animated. Let's go ahead and actually test it out. I'm going to go back to the stage. All right. I'm going to drag her down. Let's see where the other text boxes are. Okay, that's pretty good. It's pretty evenly spaced. I'm just going to drag this down here actually. Let's drag our text box 2 down here. Let's drag our first text box a little here. Okay. So here is our third text box. And what I'm going to do is save this project. I'm going to go ahead and press save. Demos. I'm going to do text Textboxes. Press save. All right. And let's publish it to see what it looks like, shall we? Oh wow, look at that. That looks really cool, doesn't it? So here's our first our three text boxes, our really simple rectangle here, if you're into simplicity. Our second more sci-fi one where we drew ourselves, where we added a drop shadow, changed the gradient fill color, and one that is animated. Oh, I actually forgot something. Let's add some text to our last text box. I'm gonna create a folder. I'm gonna call it Textbox 3. Put my text box there. I'm just gonna call this Textbox 3. Gonna lock it. Create a new layer. Make it text. And let's zoom in. I'm gonna go ahead and write. I'm gonna type Jane Doe. Okay, let's drag this down here. And I'm going to drag here. Make dummy text. The quick brown fox jumps over a lazy dog. And let's publish it one last time to see what it looks like. Wow, look at that. So here's our three text boxes we made. So as you can see, we can make whatever kinds of text boxes you want. You don't even have to use a rectangle tool. You can use any of these shapes, oval primitive, oval tool, even a polystar tool. You can make whatever kinds of text boxes. You can change the color, you can change the border, you don't even have to have a border. You can add shapes, you can draw your own designs, and you can even make your text box animated. So if you guys want to see more video tutorials on how to make stuff for your visual novels in Flash, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And thanks for watching this video tutorial, guys.